and Benchwarmers, episode 84. We recorded this a little bit out of order. So we're recording this Tuesday night following the end of the Avalanche Predators game 1. And it was just beautiful. But this is episode 84 of the Far End of the Bench podcast with Jimmy Pilato and Nico Bryant. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll be honest with you. I was a little nervous when the playoff matchups came out as to how we would be at this portion of the show. And I got to tell you, this is about as good as I could have felt. So I'll take that one.
Jimmy, as the great Kobe Bryant once said, job's not finished.
It is not. No, I heard
it's a slight smile, because in years past I would be losing my mind over this shit, which I was, and then I remembered it's a marathon. This ain't a 40-yard dash. Yeah. So it's a marathon. I could not be more happy with how this team looked tonight, and the way this team fought and the way this team flew around the ice for 60 minutes. Like I said, job's not finished.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll have a deeper discussion about the Avs. We also have another marathon to talk about tonight between New York and Pittsburgh, because three overtimes, and the third overtime nearly went the entire distance. Plus, we'll recap some of the NBA playoffs. I told Nico before we started recording this, I am not even trying to act like I'm paying attention anymore.
When your team is up 7-2, you can afford to watch the ending of basketball games. So that's a good thing.
I had the Stars Flames game on when the team was up 7-2, so I'm fully Canadian. I'm Canadian until the end of June is how
don't say you're Canadian, because Canadian teams are just going to end up choking things. So we're not Canadian, okay?
I'm glad that I want the Canadian teams to choke. And our best players are all Canadian. So
we have a Swede, we have a Finn in there, we have a German.
Before we get too deep into everything, got to remind you guys, please please follow wherever you listen to the podcast. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. We're releasing 2 episodes a week during the playoffs, so we'll be back with you guys Friday. But be sure follow.
That's Friday. Yep, today's Tuesday. Yeah, we'll be back Friday after game 2.
Yeah,
after game 2,
we'll have another Avalanche game. Hopefully, another Avalanche win. Knock on wood, to talk about. But be sure to follow there, and be sure to follow on social media at FEOTV Pod. We're both firing on the account tonight because we're obviously both watching the game, and there's a lot to get to. So now we can go ahead and talk about this. That first period, you'll hear it when we get to the second portion of the show today. We ended up going into the first 2 goals that the Avalanche scored,
because we weren't expecting 3 or 2 goals in the first 3 minutes. The team, like I said, the team just flew around, and they looked at a wounded dog. They saw Saros, one of the best top 10 goaltenders in the league, is not playing. You have this scrub in the net. Okay, welcome to the NHL playoffs, buddy. Here's one. Here's one that just firing out, and here comes Taze off the right side, just skyrocketing in between your legs. Yeah,
and you give up 2 power plays after that. That goaltender was pissed, and he had every right to be.
Yeah, it was honestly like, come on. Like, I feel bad for the dude. He was not given a chance to succeed, and you could tell how pissed he was when he threw his stick against the wall after he got pulled.
I think the stick against the wall was mainly for the dome piece that Makar gave him.
That was so disrespectful. So disrespectful.
Those guys have families.
That's a bank shot. That's a bank shot off a dude's head. You're saying, I'm just going to use your head to knock this goal in.
You're not using this for anything, right?
Oh man,
you're not going to stop this. He did the same. That's the same move that he did, that little spin in the Chicago game against Fleury. He didn't put it off Fleury's head. He was just able to put it over the top of him. But God damn,
the poor broadcast. I mean, I was watching the ESPN broadcast. I don't know if you were too. Yeah. They kept showing the replay probably 100 times.
It was
the slow-mo, just the poor goaltender. If you're that goalie's family, you're probably like, I'm done watching this game. I can't. You're gonna keep watching or replaying that little shot, and then the goalie got pulled. Yeah, no, I'm done watching this game.
Daddy's not going to be happy about this one, so we should probably just turn that game off and forget it ever happened. 3 separate Avalanche players wind up with 3 points. Second period was a little bit slower.
Kale had 3 in the first period.
Yeah, Kale had 3 points in the first period. McKinnon ended up finishing with 3, and I think Lankinen might have been the other one. Yeah. By the way, Cogliano coming up big. Like this was truly the first time since the trade deadline, and we made all those acquisitions that we've seen the full roster and a fully healthy roster. My dad was mentioned it. He heard today or read today somewhere. We have like 4 or 5 guys that played 80% of the season that weren't dressing. That's how injured and how OC didn't.
He didn't dress tonight. He played 81 games.
Yes,
I mean
we didn't even dress McDermott. We didn't dress a lot of guys that had been playing a big amount of minutes. Newhook didn't dress.
Yeah, it's we were probably with Cogliano getting the upper body injury. That's obviously we're recording this right after the game, so we don't know the extent of this injury. That obviously it's like a shark tooth. It's the best way to put it. Well, Cogliano went down. That hurts the veteran experience. Well, all right, Nui or LOC, your turn to step up. I
think OC would probably be the guy to go in there. Honestly, after what the Predators were pulling towards the end of the game, I wouldn't be surprised if Bednar maybe puts McDermott in the lineup, not to play big minutes. I get that. But obviously, like if the game goes the way that it did tonight, McDermott probably would have had 35 ice minutes, been out there, probably had a couple fights because if you're going to get boat raced out of somebody's building, don't you want to at least have a little bit of class?
A little bit of pride, and that's what they tried to do. And I was the person that tweeted it out. If the Predators are going to have a chance in this series, it's going to have to be banged up players to the Avs. That's plain and simple. That's how much more talented this Avalanche team is compared to them. They're going to have something fall their way, and what better way than to be physical like Vegas did. Every team the Avalanche will every team that the Avalanche will play this postseason, hopefully it's more than one, will try to replicate exactly what Vegas did. You got the Vegas. We shit pumped the fuck out of Vegas the first game. Second game, we stole one, and then you go back to home ice and you just completely manhandle them from board to board for 60 minutes. That's what each team is going to have to do because they know they're not going to be able to keep up with the speed. They know they're not going to be able to keep up with the skill. They're going to have to do something. The only way you're going to be able to do it is do what Vegas did last year to us.
And to be honest with you, you know who played like that tonight? It was the Colorado Avalanche. There was not a single guy when the Predator was in on a forecheck and the Avalanche were able to clear the puck. Whoever was in on the forecheck was getting pressed up against the boards. Landeskog ran over like 5 guys on his way to the net on a possession.
Man, it's good to see him back.
I like it when he's angry. I love it when he's just absolutely pissed off. But I don't. Here's at least two things. Thursday night, we're going to see a totally different Nashville team. I'm not expecting anything close to the performance that we saw. I'm not expecting it. Is it possible still? Yeah. It's also possible that Nashville turns around and maybe puts it on us a little bit too. Because remember, in the regular season, we lost that series 1-3. Or I think it was 1-3-1 was the way that the season series went. So Nashville's going to be different on Thursday. And the second thing is that the Avalanche, at least up until this point, I don't remember them playing as physical as they did. Even last season when they swept the Blues, there was never a game where you walked away and when like that team knows they played the Colorado Avalanche. The Nashville Predators tonight, a lot of guys know who they were playing, and they know like they tried to get after Kadri twice. Manson came in with a nice headlock takedown, 2 points plus near fall points for that one. That was beautiful. And
Roger, I am begging you, please keep your head on your fucking shoulders. Please. I don't care if you take a few swings here and there and a fight where you drop the gloves. But the last thing we need is another either dumb injury or a dumb penalty where it gets a 5-minute major that completely swings the game. Nashville comes back in the game because they know that it's a tight fuse. All you gotta do is have a little lighter, light that shit right next to it, and it's more than likely going to catch on fire. Kadri needs to make sure because he's way too damn important to this team, and he and broadcast said it best. He was arguably the best player on this Avalanche team during the regular season. He's not in the lineup. Teams don't need to worry about that second, third line anymore because Kadri in that second line improves the third line so much more because you have Cogliano leading that third line, not having to worry about goal scoring because the top two lines can do it very easily. You got to keep your head on your shoulders. I'm saying this as because I'm just barking to the woods here, and I realize he hasn't done it yet, but I've seen it way too many times going back to his Toronto days where it bit him in the ass. You make one postseason run where you don't do anything dumb, and you may end up with a ring on your finger.
Yeah, and I think getting the ring on his here's the ESPN broadcast did say it best, and I'll give a shout out because I like the TNT cast way more than I like any of the ESPN cast. So I didn't enjoy that, but Kevin Weeks was at least listenable, and he said it best. And I told you, I think it was Courier or somebody like that was going at it with Landy, and as the referees were skating him to the box, he just attacked Kadri to try and force Kadri, goad Kadri into doing something. And Kevin Weeks said all he hears is the Brinks truck backing up already. He hears beep, beep, beep. If he doesn't do a single thing, if he plays the entire playoff run for this Avalanche team this year, he's going to be making $100 million somewhere next year.
On a bad team. So this is your shot at a good
he's going to be Duchesne. Yeah, he's going to be Matt Douchebag. He's going to be Matt Douchebag.
Dutchie did what he does best and did what he did for a lot of years here. That was pick up garbage time goals.
Be the best player on the worst team, yeah.
Be the best player on the lesser team. And it's –
I tweeted that one out. I'll take credit for that.
Dutchie, this team isn't built how it is right now without Dutchie and without him forcing a trade.
Without him being a little,
yeah, without forcing a trade. So I have no spite for Dutchie. Okay,
but you're okay with the Duchesne sucks chance though.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that because it's playoffs. I'm fine with Melo for most of the time. When it's fucking playoffs, when you're wearing different colors, it's a different thing. Yeah. When you're off the ice, Dutchie did a lot for this community, and Melo did the exact same thing, but a lot of different ways. So when it's on the ice, I am all for the Dutchie sucks chance. So yes, Jimmy.
Yeah, no, how you feel about Melo is exactly how I feel about Duchesne because that was my favorite, the Duchesne when he was here. But now that he's gone, I could care less for the guy. And honestly, it was the best thing for this Avalanche team to get rid of a personality like that. He's a toxic. He drags the rest of the dressing room down.
We don't have Kill. We don't have Bo. We don't have the depth this team has. We don't have a lot of these players because without Matt Duchesne, because of him wanting out and how bad this team was. Yeah. So it's a completely different angle, and he wanted to go to a playoff contender. He went to a team that would end up being bottom dwellers for the next 6-7 years, and we ended up with the rags to riches.
It works, yeah. I'm
full board giving Dutchie a ring if we win because motherfucker built this team because he wanted a trade.
All right, before we move on from the Avs, 3 stars of the night were McKinnon, who had 2 goals and an assist. Makar had a goal and 2 assists, and then Rantanen assisted on 3 goals. So those were the top 3 stars, but there was a lot more that you could point out. Manson had a hell of a game. He's proving to be a solid – he's another one of those offensive defensemen, and we have just such an embarrassment of riches along our blue line right now. All 3 of our top defensemen can play offense, and vice versa. The forwards can circle back and play in the defensive because I see Rantanen doing that a lot. When he gives it off to Makar, Rantanen's the one that goes and covers the defense, and Rantanen plays defense in one of the power play combos. So there's a lot to take from this game. But like I said, we're not expecting another blowout on Thursday night. We're expecting a dogfight.
Yeah, no, we're expecting it's one win at a time. It's one period at a time.
Operation 16W.
Operation 16W. It's this. Look, how dumb are the Islanders for giving up fucking Taves for 2 seconds? How ridiculous was the trade Ottawa did? And all these things led up one by one. Look, the broadcast said best. This team has 12 unrestricted free agents next year. The likes of Kemper, Kadri. I believe Mac has to get his contract, but he's not going anywhere. There's a laundry list of players that all are just going to be chasing one cup, and you don't know what you're going to be at next year. So this is your shot. This is your chance. You got to take what you want.
It's going to suck to see how much this team kind of needs to get a facelift next season. But if they win the cup, I'll take it.
It doesn't matter.
I'll take it.
It doesn't matter if you have the cup. It doesn't matter.
So the rest of the games are now done. Calgary ends up getting a 1-0 win over the Stars. That was a defensive battle, but makes sense. There's not a whole lot of offensive firepower in that. The Stars are a team that doesn't commit penalties, and they just kind of lull you to sleep at some point. And the Flames, if Tkachuk and Gaudreau aren't going at a high level, they don't have any offense outside of those two guys. So I'm not expecting a lot out of the winner of that series. Whoever it ends up being, it's probably going to be Calgary, but a 1-0 game, that was definitely the least exciting matchup of the night.
Yeah, very, very easily. Well, I mean, you could say the Avs game wasn't exciting. If you were a normal hockey fan that wasn't an Avs fan, and that or you're
in Avalanche territory, so
we're in Avalanche territory. It's a little different. I mean, we enjoyed the hell out of it, but other people will be like, "Oh, this game sucks." Which, let's be honest, most of the game ones kind of sucked outside of one, but all the games on Monday night were blowouts. It was not even contested game.
The only one was LA and Edmonton, which I was not expecting. But I did want to mention before we got off the Tuesday games, Florida not losing game one, not a big surprise. We both said that we weren't sold on Florida. I don't have them going past the next round. And in the Pittsburgh New York game, 3 overtimes, all in game one. This is, I mean,
no legs. They played 2 games.
Yeah,
they played 2 full games.
They did play 2 full games. And they're going to have to play another game. They're going to have to play another game on Thursday.
Stricken had 70 saves.
Yes. And he's 79 saves.
Lord.
79.
Almost 80. Oh, my Lord.
And let's see. He has a 952 save percentage. And
the dude's winning the Vezina in his first or second year. The dude, talking about Talk about going from Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Talk about going from King Lundqvist to Shesterkin. That's a guy that will his jersey is going to be out there with Lundqvist one day. That's rags to riches, man.
They have a great team, and if you're a Rangers fan, it's definitely disappointing because that's a similar fate to how your team has always been, where they're always close, but they haven't been able to get past it. And I wouldn't take it too hard because it took Evgeny Malkin, who is one of the best offensive forwards that we've seen. I mean,
the 21st century.
It's Malkin, Crosby, and Letang. Yeah. That's the 3-headed monster that Pittsburgh's had forever. So it's not terrible. At least you put up a hell of a fight, and the Penguins know now that you're not going to go away quietly. And hey, I think Pittsburgh won the first game of their series last year and then dropped the next 4. So it's not over in New York, but I picked the Rangers to be in the Stanley Cup final with the Avalanche. So I have a lot of faith in them, and it's tough, but I don't think that they should look down on what they did tonight.
Yeah. Talk about one of the greatest Batman, Robin, and Nightwing trios in hockey history. Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. Those 3 dudes have been tied to the hip, winning cups, been on the same line with different players in and out, different or same coach, but different groups coming in and out. And the team always is a playoff contender. Pittsburgh is a dangerous team with I can't think of the guy. Sanguino, I think is his last name. The guy coming in the net when something Smith went down. That could hurt them. They don't have Tristan Jarry until probably game 3. That could hurt them in the long run. But like I said, when you're an away team, I learned this watching so many years of basketball and seeing Chris go through the NBA playoffs. As an away team, your job is to do one thing, and that's take one game. Take one game on opposing ice. You win, take one. You take game 1 or you take game 2. You come back to your home ice and you come back to your home crowd. You have the momentum, and now you have gained a home ice advantage. And that's exactly what Pittsburgh did. Now you got to hope that you can get Jarry back for 3 and go back to your home crowd and take 2 and take a hold of the series. Because that's the way. Because the series 7-game series increments of 2. first two, second two, last three. Like that's how it goes. To get to that, if you get down so bad in those first two, you can screw yourself for game 3 or 4, like the Nuggets have done, like the Avs have done in years past. Like it's you have to take it one step at a time and take it in little increments, inch by inch.
Yeah, they're going to have to put up even as good of an effort as they put up tonight. They're going to have to match and double probably what they did just to get some sort of the momentum back, because it is like right now the Penguins have a chance to win this thing on home ice if they wanted to. They could close it out in New York in the Garden if they really chose to do so. And they have, I mean, outside of their top 3, I think Jeff Carter, Kakko, and I can't think of the guys, 59, Gensel. Those 3 guys are their second and third tertiary scorers behind Letang, Crosby, and Malkin. That team is a little bit more dangerous than a lot of people were giving them credit for. Monday night, you mentioned it, a lot of blowouts. Bruins lost 5-1 to the Hurricanes. Maple Leafs shut out the Lightning 5-0.
I didn't know this until I listened to the hockey or the sports betting show from Pat McAfee show. Boston scored 1 goal in 3 games against Carolina this year. 1 goal. That was not news to me. That would have changed how I bet on the series. That would have changed how everything. If I would have learned that.
Yeah.
Boston is a high-powered offense, but apparently against these motherfuckers, they don't. It don't work. And Carolina, talking about a team, we both said maybe we don't think has the offensive firepower that it did. They came out and just smacked them. I don't know why they went with Ullmark. They should have went with Swayman. Swayman was a much more consistent goaltender. Ullmark is a veteran. I get it, but you got to throw the hotter goaltender. That was Swayman. Swayman won 5 out of his last 6 to end the season. Ullmark was just a veteran who's never played a playoff game. I don't know how you roll with Ullmark out there with Swayman's rolling like he was and expect to beat a team that you scored only 1 goal in 3 games against.
Yeah, here's the comparison. Here's my hard-hitting analysis. In my fantasy hockey league, I had Ullmark and I had Swayman at different points of the season. When I had Ullmark, I went from number 2 in the league down to number 4. And then I dropped him, picked up Swayman, and I clawed my way back, ended up finishing second. So I don't get it. I mean, I'm glad. I don't mind seeing Boston lose, so I guess I'm not going to complain too hard. And Carolina getting a performance like that, like Antti Ranta getting 35 saves in a game where he wasn't going to be the starter like 2 weeks ago, and then Anderson goes down against the Avalanche, and this guy he's been lights out. He solidified the Atlantic Championship for him. They won their division and got home ice in the first series, and Carolina. Maybe they have a little bit of what the Avalanche have, where they've had the talent to go deep and they haven't been able to do it. So now they're just pissed off and ready to show everybody that it's going to be this time.
Very well could be.
The other games, Minnesota, I don't even know what to. They threw out Fleury, and I posed the question: can we just say that maybe Fleury's washed at this point? Because St. Louis has some offensive firepower, but not a 4-0 in game 1 type of firepower.
No, yeah.
It wasn't good all the way around. Like Minnesota's supposed to have a solid defense, and it was absolutely non-existent in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. They're supposed to have Kirill to throw Kaprizov and guys that could score, and they were getting unlucky. Like a few of them hit the post, but at no point during.
Did you feel like they had a shot?
Yeah, I watched that game from start to finish. I said it was the Blues all the way. And there was never any switch in the momentum. And the fact that you had Minnesota Wild fans leaving at like 10 minutes left in the third period of a playoff game, this is where hockey lives in the United States, is Minnesota. And these guys can't even sit through what you were putting out there. It's a wake-up call. And now it's the same thing that happened with when we were talking about losing it as the home team, splitting the games at home initially. I would it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that St. Louis gets this done and gets it done quicker than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, poor Minnesota, man. Look. First of all, the Wild is not Minnesota's team. For people that are hockey novices, the Dallas Stars are Minnesota's team. The North Stars were a prominent force in that state, and the fact they left was one of the biggest travesties in sports still, going back to that day. Either way, this Wild team, a team that has never touched or tasted a conference finals in 15, 20 years in the hockey capital of the United States, I'll say, not the world, United States. And Minnesota, poor guys, that state has just been through the ringer. Talking about the Vikings playoff losses, talking about the T-Wolves. That state can't have anything nice. The Twins sucking. I mean, it's one thing after another with that state. And Minnesota, look, St. Louis. St. Louis wanted Minnesota. They didn't want the Avs. They knew that they were probably going to face these guys, and this is the same matchup. This is the matchup St. Louis was going to try to get to last year when Vegas and Avs, like those two teams were so matched, paired up, that we knew that was going to be the head-on collision course. Both the Blues and the Wild were on a collision course to know that if one of them wanted to take that next step and be a playoff contender, they have to beat the other. And right now, Minnesota is way too young, way too inexperienced to figure that out. St. Louis has dudes that made the cup run and that have a ring on their finger that know how to get to 16 games, and Minnesota doesn't have the guys to get to 4.
Yeah, I think it was 19 playoff debuts for the Wild lineup last night, and then you got a guy on the other side in Ryan O'Reilly, who I don't think that there's a guy that can lead his team better through a Stanley Cup playoff run. Maybe I'm having trouble even picking up maybe like a Crosby or somebody like that, but Ryan O'Reilly, and especially since that cup run that the Blues did have, he's always solid. He elevates his game to another level, and we're seeing some of the guys around him being able to do the same. I think Husso is feeding off of that energy, the goaltender that they have instead of Binnington. Let's not be. I'm not gonna be too hard on the Blues because Shen and Perron are two guys that can really score, and they're world-class players. So St. Louis does have some firepower, but I was expecting a much better effort out of the Minnesota Wild, and the fact that was what they threw out there, I'm nervous about my pick.
I said they were winning 4 or winning 5. So
yeah.
I mean, obviously, look, I'll be honest. I went 0 for and the first. I went 2 for like 8 and bet, or how many series? There's
8 series.
There's 8 series. So I went 2 for 6. I went 2 for 6 and bet in game 1. The Avs I got right, and I picked the Penguins in game 1 as well. Every other game I missed by a fucking mile, and that included this Wild game.
Yeah, the Wild game was bad. The Kings and Oilers, now that's a game like
the Oilers, man. This team, look, they're so mentally weak.
This is gonna have to get an earring.
This is the Philadelphia 76ers of the National Hockey League. I get that Toronto screws it up every year, but Edmonton, these poor guys Toronto at least has won a cup. I guess it was 40, 50 years ago, but Edmonton has always been the kickstone of the league for so long, unless they had number 99 wearing the jersey. So this poor team, man, The Kings are one of the teams that match up perfectly with them because of physicality and having a Kopitar on the front line like that. They match up perfectly. The 1-2 punch of Kopitar. I can't think of the second line center. They match goals with Draisaitl and McDavid. But there's on no planet Earth should this Kings team with a Jonathan Quick who is prime is 12 years ago should be beating this team. I loved me some Johnny Quick when he was Team USA goalie, but that was 2014. We're in 2022 for Pete's sake, and he's doing that against you. Come on now.
It was not good. I mean, Philip Deneau is the guy that was on, I believe he was with Montreal last year.
Yep.
He doesn't bring a lot offensively, even though he had 2 points last night. He is a Selke contender year in and year out, which for those of you that don't know, that's the best defensive forward in the NHL. And Deneau is always in that running. And the Kings they kept it as close as they could. They didn't let Edmonton get out on any runs, except for the one. McJesus, oh my God, that was him and McCarr both, I think, should register. They need to wear license plates when they're going to pick up a full head of steam because they shouldn't be within anybody that's not in a vehicular, any kind of motor vehicle. So
free that man. Free that.
I think they're going to free Draisaitl.
One of them. They won't let McDavid leave until he forces his way out, but Draisaitl's fucking gone so quick. Yeah. Look, this team is going to be blown up. It will be blown up. We're going to see honestly, probably the best spot for McDavid to go to may be the Kings and just following Gretzky's footsteps. I know it's why I'm comparing the great one to this kid but McDavid may be one of the greats of eventually at the end of his career, but I don't think he'll ever win a cup in Edmonton. I don't think so. He's not going to be. This isn't a Crosby or Ovechkin scenario where you're like, oh, they're loyal to the teams, but they just don't know how to get over the hump. McDavid is the whole team. There isn't a coach. There isn't anybody you could put on this Oilers team and tell me that this team could be a cup contender, because whether they get past LA or not, this team will be a second round exit. And they are not prepared to make the long run. They will have the one highlight play from McDavid that will be SportsCenter top 10, and after that team will fall apart. And that's just how it's been since McDavid entered, put an Oilers jersey on.
Yeah,
a team was gifted 3 first-round picks in the 2010s. 3,
and
one of them is on the team currently.
Only one.
That's all you need to know about that franchise.
Yeah. I saw a quote from Brendan Marshall talking about how the Bears were run like a small business, and I see so many similarities when I look at how the Edmonton Oilers franchise, they put a lot of, like, if you go to Edmonton, it's almost like you have to go to West Texas to understand the draw of high school football. You have to go to Edmonton to understand the draw of hockey. This is legitimately the only thing these people talk about all year. Like in the middle of June, after the season is over, they are breaking down every single player that could possibly be on the roster for the next season. This team, they're community loves
roller hockey. Yeah, they're also playing roller hockey during the summer. They're not playing soccer. They're not playing baseball. They're not playing basketball. They're out there with their roller skates on, playing street hockey.
And they will never get over the hump because it's just for whatever reason. They lost Gretzky. Yeah, they lost Gretzky, who was a hometown kid and wanted nothing more than to play there, and they didn't have the money to keep him, or didn't want to try and get the money to keep him. So they've never recovered, and I don't see them recovering anytime soon. Draisaitl's got like his foot, his arm, and his shoulder out the door already. He's trying to force his way out of the door right now, and they're in the middle of the playoff run.
Send me to Colorado. Please send me to Colorado.
He'd love it here. Where's he from? Draisaitl? Do you know what country?
He's German.
German? Yeah. I mean, the Alps, we have mountains. He could ski.
Deutschland, I would buy a Draisaitl jersey so quick. He'd have to change numbers, though. He can't wear 29.
He cannot wear 29. I think that he'd be okay with that.
I think he'd be all right, yeah.
Go from playing with McDavid to playing with McKinnon, you're like, oh, shit.
Oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, not bad.
NHL playoffs are in full swing, and so far I can't get enough. We'll switch over to
the other game. I want to say something real quick. Fucking Toronto. I know. Look, that is the worst jersey matchup in the world. These two teams need to figure out their color schemes. I'm talking about you, Tampa Bay, because I'm looking. I literally turned on the game and I was like, "Who the hell is here wearing what color?" They're the exact same jerseys. Please, do better, Tampa. You had such a great color scheme and such a great sick jersey back in the 2000s. Like, come on. But yeah, Tampa Bay did not look like they were there physically.
They're not eventually there. They're not going to play that bad again in the series.
Toronto, they have Jimmy. Dude, the only reason why I'm saying that is because of the Arizonan over there. An American will drag that team out of the gutter. That's the silver lining, Jimmy. Austin Matthews is that dude, okay? Austin Matthews is that dude.
He is.
An American will have to drag that team out of the gutter. That's all you have to say.
They have to prove it. They got to prove it, and until they do, I'm not. It's similar.
They're not going to be able to put up 5 on Vasilevsky every night. So no, that's true.
It goes back. I mean, watching Tampa Bay play Boston in the bubble, I've said it a lot on this podcast. That's when I knew that Tampa was legit, because Boston did not have the speed to keep up with them. And I mentioned it last Thursday when we were making our playoff picks. I said that I think Tampa is not going to make it past the second round because they played so many games compared to every other team. Like, at some point that's going to catch up to you. And the LTIR and having guys injured and not injured and all that kind of stuff, it's all come to a head. We knew that it wasn't going to last forever.
It's all going to bite them in the ass eventually.
In the salary cap era, you can't keep dynasties around for 10 to 15 years.
They got 2 cups out of it. So
I mean, yeah, I don't think that they're complaining.
So yeah, they're not complaining. But either way, I don't think it's their year.
No, but yeah, the NHL playoffs are right in the thick of things. We're going to be talking about that pretty much every episode. Plus.